at some new skills. Some of you have already mastered it, some not. So make sure you're in FIGMA. So the two things we're going to look at, I'll just show you an example. So making sure you've got a counter that works like that. And then drop downs. So if you want to do little drop downs like that, so some of you might want something like that. And there is one more, which I've already got a movie for, which is to do an overlay. And I'll play that movie a bit later after we've done this one. So just get yourself something open to work in. I might just go back and make a new design, start from scratch. So the first thing you need to do is get your numbers organised. So just pull that in a bit so we're not too crazy. So start with your text tool and just type in there and start with a number. And let's make that a bit bigger so you guys can see what I'm doing. I'll make mine quite large. It's ridiculously large, but that's okay. And then you want to do what we've done before and just frame that selection. Oh, come on. There. When you see it that way, and you double click in, then you should get the options to frame the selection. I don't know why mine aren't coming up actually. That's weird. The right clicking's not working, that's all. Okay. Sorry, something going on here. My right clicking is not working. What's wrong with it? That's going to really disable me. Oh no, that's weird. We can go to the object menu to find it, I think. Frame selection, there it is. So frame your selection. Hopefully your right click is working. I don't know why mine isn't. And then you want to put auto layout on it as well. Don't know why it's not working. So again, you can go to that object menu and put auto layout on it. So object, add auto layout, and most of you probably can control click. So add the auto layout or learn the shortcut, which is Shift A, because you have to add auto layout all the time. So once you do that, you make sure that your auto layout is turning up, and you can see that alignment. So we want to put it in the center so that whatever size we make this frame, it'll stay in the center. The other thing I want to do is make my actual text centered as a piece of text as well. So now that should work. So if I select my frame and start moving it, you can see that my object, my number, stays in the center. But you will have to select it as a piece of text and tell it to be centered, as well as using the auto layout. So that auto layout needs to show that in the middle, and then you can add padding to it if you want to. So you know, you could put 10 padding around it. You can fiddle with those settings, you know, to make the counter the exact size that you want it to be. So that's kind of something you can fiddle with. When you're kind of happy with it, then you can put a fill on it. And the other thing you want to do is when you're looking at it, if you get problems with it hugging around the letter, you can switch it from hug to fixed height, and then you can put a dimension in there so you can be a little bit more control of it, so it doesn't keep hugging the object. So I might actually take that padding off because it's a bit annoying. Just have no padding for the moment. So when you're happy with it, you can go ahead and give it a fill colour so you can kind of see what it looks like a bit better. And yeah, so you've got something like that. So you've got your width and height. You can fiddle around with how big it is, and you can make it fixed width so you can, and fixed height so you can control that quite specifically. So I've made mine square, 40 by 40. So just get used to where things are. You've got width and height. You can tell it to hug. You know, if you're seeing it annoyingly coming in around the object, it's probably because it's set to hug, whereas you're trying to control the size of it. You probably want to switch it to fixed. Down here you've got your corner radius, so you could, you know, soften the edges of it if you want to look more like a button. I don't in this case, I'm quite happy to have a square one. And so you've got your first little counter object set up as a frame. Then you can option copy it across and just change that to a plus and a minus sign, but you're using the same little setup, so you know these things are the same size, so they look like they belong together. And you can put them as close as you want together. You know, some of you will prefer to have it vertical, you know, so you could have your counter set up that way. You can do this either way, it doesn't really matter. Then once you've got that set up, select them all, and then, oh look, now it's working, my right click's working now, that's weird. Okay, so now you want to frame that selection as well. And then you're ready to copy it. I might have missed a step there. And do several copies of it. And then just change the lettering so you've got your series of numbers. Now once you've got these guys, you want to make them into a component, but it's not a normal component. So again, if you drag over them, and you can now make a component, but don't hit that triangle. You've actually got to hit the create component options, a little tiny little chevron there. Just go and find that, and then that will give you create a component set. So that's the important thing. Now that won't happen, you won't even get that option. See how you don't even get the option if you've just got one thing selected? So you're not even going to see the option for that unless you've selected all of them, and then the program knows, it realises you've got multiple things there, and then you can create a component set. And when you do that, when you click in here to have a look at your assets, you can see you only have one object there rather than all of them. If you just create a normal component, you'll end up with them, all 5 of these, or 4 of them, whatever you've got, showing in there. If you've done the component set, then you'll only have the one counter object showing up, which is what you want. And then you switch to prototype mode, and then you just got to have a little bit of a think about it, and you've also got to make sure you click right into the object. There's no good selecting the wrong object, so you just got to think, when I'm in here and I say I'm on 0, when I +1, I want to go to 1, and try to make sure you're going to the actual 1. Not sure I am actually. I don't know if it's getting in there. So it's a little bit tricky, and then you've got to think to yourself, okay, when I go to plus, I want to go back to naught. So just try to be careful. I think I didn't get mine. Oh yeah, no, that's okay. See how it's going from the plus to the 1 and from the minus back to naught. So just think about what you're doing. If I've got number 1 showing and I add a plus to it, now double click in so you're only getting the plus, and then tell it to go to 2. Let's hope it's going to 2 rather than the whole thing though. And then if I'm minusing back, I've got to go minus back to 1. So just kind of go along logically. If I'm looking at number 2, then if I want to go up to 3, I've got to go from, I want to go plus will take me to 3. And minus from 2 goes back to 1. I can see that's happening. So when I'm on 3, my minus sign needs to take me back to number 2, doesn't it? And when I hit my plus, it should take me to 3. And then the last one would be when I'm on number 3, if I add plus, it should take me to 4. And when I'm on 4, okay, I want to minus it back to 3. So if you've got it working, so it does take a little bit of fiddling, so you might need to do it a couple of times before it works. Make yourself a frame to test it on, or put it on if you've already got one. I'm just going to do an iPhone 6 frame. And then from the assets panel, drag it in and just check that it's working. If it's not working, it could be because you got the outside of something instead of the... Okay, so that seems to be working. And then minus back. Okay, I've got something wrong there. So I'd have to go back and check. So it is fiddly if it gets the outside of the whole container instead of the number. So just fiddle with it. So I'll have to go back and fix that. So test it out as you go. So something's not right from 3. Let me just check that number 3. When I go minus, is going back to 2, and when I go from 2, that's minusing back to 1. I just check it. So just test them out, that they're going to the right link. So when you hit minus, it should go back to the previous number. So are all the minuses going back to the previous number? They look like they are, so I'm not quite sure why that's not working. So you've got to have a bit of patience. Oh, that one's not going back. So go back and check that things are hooked to the right thing, and then check your pluses. When you hit the plus, is it going to the next number? That looks like it's going to the right, going to 1. You might need to double click into the actual number if it's going to the outside of the frame. So just fiddle around. It is fiddly, but just check. Okay, when I'm on number 2, where am I going? I'm going back to number 1, but you want the actual number. It's when I hit the minus that I go back, not when I hit the actual number. So it should be like minus goes to 1. From I'm on 2, but it's the minus sign going back to the previous number. So the minus sign itself is what's got to hook back to that particular number. Okay, I don't know if I've got that. Try it again, and we'll just see if it's working. So it is a little bit fiddly, so take your time with it, try it out. That seems to be working now. I seem to have fixed it. So, oh no, look, I've got something there. I'm not quite going back to 0. So I've just got to go back and check. I fixed all the other ones. There, you can see, but I can't get back to 0. So then, you know, patiently go back and check what you've done. So something's gone wrong with my number 1. When I look at the minus, that should be, it looks like it's going back to 0. So I'll click on the 0 and put that back to, see if I can fix it. But that's the basics of it. No, I just can't get back to 0. I've done something wrong there. Yep, but anyway, have a go at it. See how you go. I'll run through it one more time again. But I'll stop this now and just go around and do a bit of troubleshooting with people. Because I know there's several steps there. Let me just stop.